All right, we're back with Cody Diekhoff. The stage name is Chicago Farmer, and the new album is Homeaid. The song you just heard, Mile Market, Mile Marker 25. Um, this is not the first time this particular subject has come up in your music.
Hmm.
Um, And when it does, dramatic things tend to happen.
Hmm.
Um, so how is it that domestic violence came to resonate so strongly with you?
I was leaving a gig one night in Joliet, Illinois, and my wife and I were driving home, and there was this car off to the side of the road and it had a door open, and I was like, "What is going on up there?" It was like a little construction area, and this car was stopped, and the doors were open, and we pulled up closer, and there was a guy on top of a woman, like beating her up, and I was like, oh my god. So we pulled over and just started honking the horn, and the guy just took off and left his girlfriend there all beat up and bloody right there, off the side of the road. And so my wife went over to console the woman, and I called 911, and they answered, and they're like, "Well, what's happening?" And I told them, they're like, "Where are you?" And I looked up, and we were at mile marker 25, and I said, "We're on I-355 on mile marker 25," and they were there in like a second, and we ended up like going to court and getting all that kind of stuff, and the guy got put away, and all just happening on a drive home from a gig. And so that's really where the song came from. And then I started thinking back like into high school and things like that. And I remember um, some guys that were, jerks. And uh, I remember that. I remember that happening occasionally in my hometown and being pretty upset about it. And then I was also really even more upset to learn that during the pandemic, that was even more of a thing, because people were stuck at home all the time, that domestic violence was even more on the rise during that time, which I was like, God, I never really thought about that, like how difficult that must be to live like that. Now this pandemic comes and you're home and your significant other is home all the time. Um, and so the character in the story was just kind of at a breaking point and had enough and just decided to burn the whole thing down.
Yeah, quite literally burn the whole thing down.
Hmm.
So, yeah, you that was the song, but even before you visited mile marker 25, you had When He Gets That Way.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So, um,
I,
that,
I really, it kind of goes back, not Tina, but in my hometown, just the women are so strong. I think of a lot of people like my mom and many of other women who have lost their husbands. Um, some some women, have battled cancer, and some women have battled domestic violence, and so I don't know. I'm very inspired by women. I always have been, by my grandmother and my mom and my sister and my wife. And I'm just surrounded by really strong, powerful women. And so I think in these songs, it's not just talking about their plight, but how they overcome things and stay strong and speak out. And it inspires me to kind of hit this topic from time to time, for some reason. But yeah, I think the women in my hometown are just amazingly strong-willed, women, and they inspire me.
yeah, I can tell it's an issue that deeply touches you, and you know, this is even coming this is me sort of changing the focus of where this show is going to go. Um, Prior to this, I don't think I was going to go quite as deep into this, but my friends and I were out in the city earlier this week, and we had the absolute nightmare of walking in walking towards the the bus interchange at the exact wrong time, and we got to see a guy really, being loud with his wife, threatening her, shoving her, and um, quite literally the people I was with were gathered because of, video game nerdy stuff. Um, but we figured like, okay, let's get the police
Yeah.
called over, called the cops. He catches us calling the cops, and he starts coming to menace us. He takes a few swings, and luckily for us, he's really drunk, so he doesn't keep his balance, and the concrete takes care of him basically.
Wow. Yeah.
Um, for legal reasons, let's just say the concrete, just like you and the knife,
Uh-huh.
the concrete did everything. But
Yeah.
it's it is this unique, like you can go from laughing to just really strong anger
Yeah.
when you see guys behaving this way.
Absolutely. I'm sorry you had to deal with that. And
No,
al- and
I'd rather
yeah,
deal with it than let her deal with it alone.
absolutely. And that's kind of just a window into knowing that like me personally, I actually got jumped once in my life, and it happened one time. And then you think about people that deal with like stuff like that every single day, I'm sure, I obviously I don't know for sure, but think this incident probably wasn't a first, in my opinion, that you experienced, with this couple. It probably happens so often, and then she probably doesn't know when it's going to happen, but she knows it is going to happen, and what a difficult way to live with knowing that, and yeah, it's literally brutal and tough to think about and talk about, but yeah, I think it's great to have know people have your back, and for her to see that complete strangers had her back, like you guys did. I'm sure that was at least a little bit of relief and a little help for her to know.
I wish I could say that honestly, though. She was quite upset by it all.
Yeah.
She didn't want any of the attention,
Yeah.
on the situation. And, she was quite upset when he was on the ground, and just a really, I don't know. I guess what I'm saying is listening to when he gets that way, a mile marker 25, listening to those songs beforehand and after, you
Mm-hmm.
know, the the fire just feels much more satisfactory, and
Mm-hmm.
it's you just hope that people in those situations can get to the point where they can break the cycle, because it's really clear that sort of like you mentioned with the black and blue winter, and just getting you know wanting to stick with the devil, sort of thing. It's really clear to me it's not an easy thing to not an easy thing to overcome. So, uh, hearing stories where there is that overcoming, uh,
Hmm.
it's it's a powerful thing.
Yeah, I think so. And also like your situation that you witness in both of the songs you mentioned, usually the character is, inebriated and drunk, and unfortunately that happens all too often. And it's a thing that happens also. You were in a city, but it's pretty common in a small town too that the male in the relationship gets drunk and comes home and takes it out on somebody, and that's why I feel like I'm very fortunate outlet like music, and that other people have different outlets that they can turn to instead of just turning to a bottle constantly in their life. And you know I can't judge because I enjoy to have beverages. I have drinking songs. I mean, you know what I mean. But it seems like a lot of this stems from alcoholism, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah, huge
Like
difference
the
between
incident that you witnessed sounds like it stemmed from that as well.
huge difference between a couple drinks and
Yeah,
getting to a place where you don't care who you're hurting.
yeah.
Uh, so as much as we're ending on a note like this, let's take the mood up one notch here. You say you see a lot of women you respect. For the end here, I'm going to ask you to choose a song by another artist, just so long as you had nothing to do with creating it.
Okay.
And can you come up with a song showcasing whether it's an artist you respect or just a story about a cool woman?
Oh man, Neil Young has a cool song called "Unknown Legend," which is cool. And then, but also like with the topic we were just talking about, I think John Prine, Angel from Montgomery, definitely came to mind as well. But that's more of I think a woman uh, being overlooked. Well, I guess that would be an unknown legend as well. But I think that's what Prine always does is he makes the people who are unnoticed be noticed in his songs, and that's definitely something that's inspired me. So I think Angel from Montgomery is such a simple song, but it's a pretty powerful song, and that one always resonates with me.
Yeah, I'd say Neil Young and John Prine is pretty on brand for you, man.
Yeah, I've listened to them both a few times.
Yeah, I get the feeling. I get
Yeah.
the feeling.
Well,
All
I
right,
appreciate
Cody.
you digging into these songs and really the story songs too. You know, I like singing story songs, and so thanks for focusing on those.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
The new album is Homeaid by Chicago Farmer.